Planet Magazine.
Also known as Wednesday 13. Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
Welcome to the video. Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
You're listening to Brutal Planet.
Hey, what's up, everybody? CJ Pierce here from Toronto Pool, and you listen to Brutal Planet Media right here. Get yourself.
Hey, I'm Steve from Within the Ruins, and this is Brutal Planet.
Yes.
What's up, guys?
Planet. We are live today with Mr. Jeff Fabb.
What's up, everybody?
It's a beautiful Friday. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you for having me. Can you hear me? Everything's cool?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Cool.
I love your setup too, man. The
Thanks,
instruments.
dude. How you guys doing today? All right?
Good.
Fantastic, man. It's Friday. My hat's on crooked.
You're looking good. It's perfect for a Friday.
I love it.
It'll be even more crooked later.
Casual Friday, yeah.
Setting myself a little bit here. All right, cool.
So, man,
Fellas, what's going on?
we're just getting into it. You have a long career playing with a lot of different bands. So why don't you tell us your story? Like, how did you get into music? How did you get to where you are now?
Well, I started playing drums when I was like 11 years old. You know, that whole thing, like everyone else, young age. Started playing in bands right away. Got into like, that was in the 80s. So I was playing metal and doing that thing and playing a lot of covers, a lot of Metallica covers and things like that, Ozzy, stuff like that. Playing in bands in high school, variety shows, that type of thing, Then got into like some New York hardcore type stuff, like Sick of It All stuff,
Yes.
like things like that. I ended up in a hardcore band called Trip Face and played a lot of basement shows, things like that. I was probably 13 or 14, I think, at the time. I was young.
You grew up in New York?
Nice.
Yeah, Long Island, New York. Yep. And then graduated high school and moved to California and basically just started digging through the Music Connection, the magazine there, drummer wanted type things, and played in a ton of different bands, which led to members of In This Moment.
Nice.
That's how like we all kind of met. And then, that was the band that really kind of got me started, I guess you could say. And that was like around, I guess we started that band, I think around like 2004-ish or something I think it was.
Oh,
I moved to LA in 98. So it was a lot of just playing in bands and playing in different bands. And yeah, that just led us to that. And then, it was like the MySpace moment in time, right? I always talk about this because it was interesting with them because they would have like the unsigned, right? And then they would have indie and then major label signed bands, right? And we were kind of always ranking in there. Like people were noticing, oh, they're up here with like whoever it was at the time, I don't know, Disturbed or whatever whoever was there,
2004 era.
And then that's how we ended up getting kind of noticed. We were already touring though. We already had our own van and we had our trailer and we were doing like a circuit from LA to Texas, and we would just do that circuit and we were just grinding and until we got noticed by Rob Nicholson, who is Blasco, and he's at the time he was in Rob Zombie, but he was the bass player in Ozzy for many years. Now he's actually back in Rob Zombie again.
After the Piggy D thing.
Yeah. Because actually Piggy took him over. Matt took his position. He went to Ozzy, and that was actually the time when it was funny. I just went to the Pantera show last night at Madison Square Garden, which was crushing. And the last time I was there with Zakk, I was talking to him. I was like, dude, I was in This Moment. You were playing in Ozzy, and we played here in 2007.
Wow.
Crazy.
And that was right when Blasco got into Ozzy and everything. It was like, it's funny that we're talking about this now,
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially since you were there last night.
Yeah, it was killer. So I mean, long story short, that's kind of how it all began.
That's so cool, man. So you've been at it a long time.
In This Moment thing, did that kind of wet your feet a little bit, or were you?
Oh yeah.
And I mean, so you got a chance to tour with some really cool bands. What were some bands that you toured with? You really
Mudvayne, Megadeth. We toured with so many cool bands. I mean, Ozzy, obviously. Seven Dust, Disturbed. Who else? I mean, it went on and on. We got to tour with so many great bands. We were lucky, like right out of the gates we got on Ozfest, that was amazing. One of my favorite festivals,
How do you end up meeting Zakk and
I met him in this moment.
Okay.
Oh,
like when we went on tour with Ozzy, we met.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that was back in 2007. And I actually met JD then too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I met JD, ended up hanging out with them in Europe. I think it was the last festival of our whole run, and I ended up hanging out on the Black Label bus, and it was awesome. It was chaotic, great. But I always loved Zakk right out of the gates. Right when I met him, he was so much fun, and I loved him. And so it's so like even to this day, I'm like, it's so cool. I ended up I love everybody that I played with, but it's great that I ended up here. I'm really fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I just did a piece a couple days ago about it's basically old footage of Dime and Vinny.
Yeah.
And Dime is telling this story about when they were recording the Damage Plan record, and Zakk flew out and they stole his limo driver's truck and just wrecked it. And it's the coolest story, and it just made me go this is such good proof that Zakk is the guy to sub for Dime.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't really see, I couldn't see anyone else. I mean, who else could really do that?
Yeah. No one else could pull it off.
No.
And
I mean, plus their whole dynamic and the story and everything. It's just there would be, he's the guy, and he's crushing it. They're all crushing it. They sound great. They really do. They sound fantastic. I was stoked to hear them.
I really hope I get a chance to catch them before they stop touring.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. It seems like they're doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your solo stuff, man. I listened to the song today, Hell in the Hallway, which I really liked.
Cool.
Well,
that's actually the first. It was there was another guitar player in this moment when I was in this moment. His name was Blake Bunzel, and he's actually playing guitar on that. I played all the parts to write the song. I send it to him, and then he'd do his thing. He'll just replay my parts, and then he'll come up with his own thing on top of it. So that's this collaboration right now. Hell in the Hallway was the first song.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool because we were in a van together for years, him and I, and living in hotel rooms. And he was on that tour that I was just talking about with Ozzy, and I was talking to him today about it. I was like, yeah, dude, I was in that, Madison Square Garden, just thinking about, wow, we played here. I mean, it was cool.
Full circle.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, so Hell in the Hallway is that the first single off this new record that's going to be at some point, but we're just going to release a song a month.
Oh, nice.
And then release the record. I'm not all of the songs a month,
yeah.
But probably 4, maybe. I don't know. I haven't really decided yet. 4 or 5, maybe, or something like that, and then release a record.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've been doing music for a long time. What inspired you to do a solo project?
Over here.
Oh, cool. I always played a little guitar, but then when I got into Black Label, they're all just so great, I mean, everybody I played with is great, but JD is a madman, he's he went to Berkeley, and he's just a crazy musician, right? So I learned so much from him. So I would just practice guitar more and more and more, and then a little bit and just learning more. Then I would started writing writing songs. I was always into writing songs, but I didn't really know so much theory, on guitar.
Yeah.
So him, his knowledge really helped me with that. And then I just started, and this was when COVID hit, right? And you guys, obviously, we all remember that. Nothing was going on for fucking 2 years, you know?
What was that? COVID? I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. It was this thing. I don't know.
I blocked that from my
Bump in the
memory.
road, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, you know, we all weren't doing anything, right, for 2 years or whatever it was. I was just shedding on guitar and writing songs and like recording and then, you know, listening back just like anything else or anything, just listening back. Oh, I can do that. Let me try this better. Oh, let me try. And it was just like, I didn't realize it, but I was just kind of practicing songwriting, you know? And then I was just like, before I knew it, I had like all these songs and I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll just try to do something. I had some time off. I was just like, might as well try to put something out.
Yeah.
And that was it, you know, and that's how that first record, Stealing Souls, came out. I played everything on that. It was a lot. Except like I had my buddy Brian Green play a little bit on You're Complete. And then Dario played the solo on Rebellion Dogs. But it was a lot. So doing it this way with Blake, it's like I can play like, you know, just a rhythm track and then just give it to him and he'll just take it to another level, which is cool.
So you guys are just kind of doing it over the internet, just trading files.
Yeah, I do it right here. I record everything in here, and then I just email him the zips, and he just pops them into his studio, and that's that.
Man, I think that's despite the COVID thing, I think that's like one of the best byproducts of it. Is it just made that type of remote collaboration so much easier?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it also like it sparked a lot of creativity in people, you know.
Totally.
Like even them starting to play, you know, instruments and guitar and stuff. It was, you know, so I guess there was some good that came out of that, you know.
Yeah. Man, I wanna talk to you a little bit more about the New York hardcore stuff because that's like close to my heart. Like bands like Vision of Disorder.
Oh man, we used to play with them.
Really?
Yeah, we used to play with them all on Long Island. I don't know if you remember Neglect.
Yeah.
Mind Over Matter.
I remember them as well.
Yeah,
Candiria. Do you know Candiria?
I know. Yeah, I mean, I know the band. Yeah, Ken.
Okay.
I know Ken.
Ken Schock. Yeah, that guy is
he's
an
awesome,
amazing
man.
drummer.
Amazing.
That whole world is close to my heart. So
I love it
very
too,
cool
dude.
that you were part
I
of
love
it.
it too. Yes, I love. Sick of It All was one of my favorite, hardcore bands ever.
Yeah.
I remember just like the first time I ever saw him, I just got my ass beat in the pit. I remember just being like, I was a little kid and I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go to the pit, you know, I just got beat. I loved it, you know.
But those shows are such a coming of age thing too. It's like, then you realize like, hey, I can handle this. And then it emboldens you.
Totally. Yeah. That was a great time, man. I like, especially we were so young and they're really like where I grew up on Long Island. I was like way out on the East Coast, the East end of it. So there really wasn't much there was no places to play. You know, we would play at like VFW halls and basements. A lot of it was these basement shows. And these shows would be packed. Some of them were like, there was a lot of kids there, you know? It was a cool time.
LA has elements like that outside of Hollywood too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Earth Crisis is another band from that era that I don't think gets near enough credit.
Yeah. There was just so many. I mean, we had 7 Inches, and you know that was all the zines, the underground zine magazines, and it was just such a cool time, man.
Yeah, a lot of I was lucky enough to see several of those bands out here on the West Coast, despite not being able to get out there. Anyway, I'm sure Eric has some questions for you because he's a huge BLS fan, and I'll shut up for a second.
No, I'm just curious how the tour was with Anthrax, what that you guys did.
Oh, it was amazing. We were playing all these huge places. It was a great tour.
I hit the first date in Boise, and that Exodus wasn't able to show up.
Yeah, I love those guys, man. What a group of awesome dudes. I love them. But
it was just a great show. There was so much energy. You guys had so much energy, and then Anthrax going on afterwards. I mean, it was just. They're just solid dudes. I mean, how long have you known those guys? Or was
not very long.
Oh, really?
Not very long. You know, obviously I grew up listening to them and things like that. But
yeah,
I've like brushed shoulders with them, you know, through the years, but I never toured with them. That was the first time to ever really tour with them. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
We saw BLS. Me and Eric saw you BLS in Salt Lake. I don't know if you were with them or not then, Jeff, but they played with Prong and Obituary.
Oh yeah, I was there.
in
Nice.
Salt Lake City. Yeah.
I'm the longest running drummer in Black Label now.
Oh hell yeah,
Nice.
10 years, man.
that's a badge.
Well,
Yeah,
keep
I
it
know.
up, man.
Especially in a band that had a lot of drummers. Yeah,
Like the Spinal Tap exploding drummer
totally, man.
analogy.
Totally.
I think
Well,
that one of the things that I was most happy with is I paid and did the meet and greet with you guys, and the thing I was most happy about is how genuine you guys were. And so I'm throwing this out for a plug for you guys when you do your tours. Is, man, if anybody has any doubts about whether or not it's just rushed through when you guys do a meet and greet, it's not. It's like you guys sit there and you spend time. And I mean, I'm a photographer, and so like I had taken photos of Zakk when he was in Generation X, when he did that tour,
Yeah.
the Generation X tour, and I had a picture and I had him sign it for me, and it was just it's one right there behind me, and he looked at it and he's like, "That's a cool picture, man. Who took that?" I'm like, "I did." He's like, "No shit," and I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Hold on a second." He gets out his phone and he takes a picture of my picture. And I'm like, dude, that's fucking badass.
Oh man, totally. He's the best.
And you guys all were just like, so, I mean, we were just like, everybody was hugging. It wasn't just handshake. It wasn't just like sterile thing. It was like, no, man, we're all about hugs. Get over here and give us a hug.
It's a family vibe, dude.
Dude, it was so
It's
awesome.
a family vibe, man.
So that's what I would say. If anybody loves Black Label Society, it's totally worth it to just go in, pay the extra money, get to hang out with you guys, and just, I mean, it was fun. And then Anthrax busted in towards the very beginning of it. I remember that when you guys were getting ready to do the individual stuff. And next thing I know, here comes Charlie and Joey and Scott, and they all bust into your photo sessions and shit like that. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And like you said, man, there's no rushing through it, right? It's a long meet and greet.
Yeah.
It's a long meet and greet. It's worth it. It's worth it for everybody. Everybody gets to hang and talk a little bit, and it's definitely a family vibe over there.
Yeah.
BLS has such a dedicated fan base too. Like even in Salt Lake City, Utah, that place filled up with bikers in BLS jackets, man.
Totally.
So fast when Zakk came on.
Yeah. You know what's cool about it too is like we're as the time goes on, I see like, you know, the kids come in with their parents, right? And now those kids have kids.
Yeah.
And they're bringing their kids. And it's like totally cool, man. It's such a family type thing. It's great. Like the Dead kind of, you know? But, you know, Black Label, you know?
Yeah.
I've noticed
that's got to be something you're very proud of. I mean, as the longest drummer in the band, 10 years. I mean, even at that, you've seen the progression of your fan base, you know, age, and then the youth come into it. How does that make you feel when you does it make you feel refreshed to see youth coming back into metal?
Yeah. And I got to be honest with you. I never had any doubts about that anyway. I just feel like metal is always just going to go on and on and on and on. There's no killing it.
Yeah.
And, but it definitely, it's inspiring. And it's also like, reminds me like of just how grateful I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Like, I'm so grateful because like growing up, like I listened to Zakk, you know, I mean, like, so like I had him on my wall, you know what I mean? Like he was one of the guys, you know what I mean? So like there's like those, I never forget that, you know, like it's like even when we're up on stage, he turns around and looks at me or whatever, you know what I mean? It's just like I always have those moments of like, wow.
Pinch yourself.
That's why I always tell kids like that want to do this, just if you love to do this, just do it. Like don't listen to anything, just do it, you know? Go do what you love, you know? Because you never know. You might be up there with one of your heroes.
You hustled your way into a gig with arguably one of the most legendary guitar players of all time.
And
just
dude, I came from a really small town. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like it's possible. You know what I mean? So I always tell kids that, you know, it's possible. You know, I'm not special. You know what I mean? I just, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, if you just hustle and put your nose to the grindstone or whatever you want to say, like, and just, you know, just go, you know, and do it. And you'll make something happen.
you got out there and played, but just as a quick aside, name some of the other bands you played for besides In This Moment and Zakk. Like you played for quite a few bands, right?
Yeah, well, I played in Filter, I played with this rock kid that was on American Idol. His name was James Durbin. He actually
yeah,
brought,
okay.
you remember him? Yeah.
Mhm.
He's still rocking. He's still going. I played with him. I played with 6 a.m.
Oh, nice.
with Nikki Sixx. That was another pretty cool experience,
Another legend.
yeah, I met the singer I knew first, James Michael, because he's a producer. And I was working on a record. Actually, the kid from American Idol, he was doing his record, and I was there tracking, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to? I'd love to have you playing a 6 a.m. record." I was like, "Awesome! Like, I'll definitely do it." And I was actually playing in Filter at the time, and he was like, I was on tour with them, and he was like, "Hey, we were playing with Motley Crue at a festival," and he's like, "Hey, you got to go talk to Nikki before you can play on this record, just to make sure it's he's cool with you or whatever." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "All right." So like he calls me, he's like, "All right, go over there. He's ready for you," So I'm like, I go over to the dressing room. I'm like I think Eddie Trunk walked out, and he's like, "Hey," and I was like, "Oh, hey, Eddie, how you doing?" And then he shut the door behind him, and then I knock on the door, and like he opens the door, and there's Nikki Sixx. I'm like, "How you doing?" He's like, "Oh, so I heard you want to play on our record or whatever." I was like, "Yeah, I would be honored to play on your record," And he was totally cool. You know what I mean? It was just like another one of those experiences where I was like, "Wow, this is so bizarre."
Yeah.
Here's another guy. I mean, like I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, so I definitely was a Motley Crue fan, so for me it was just like another one of those like pinch yourself moments,
Yeah.
Yeah, say whatever you want about those guys. The track record speaks for itself.
That's what I'm saying, man. I mean, like I grew up on all kinds of music, and they were definitely one of the bands I grew up listening
For sure.
to. Tommy Lee, come on, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Tommy Lee.
Absolutely. One of the earliest influences on my life, for sure.
Right? I mean, totally. Like, so yeah, it was cool. It was cool. So yeah,
when are you gonna get the rotating drum kit?
Man, I've been shooting for it. They don't want to strap me in though. They said you can get it, but no straps.
You're like hanging from the thing, like
just curl your toes over or something, but you're not getting a seatbelt.
That's insane. So I wanted to ask you, what are some of your personal influences? What are some of the inspirations that drove you to do solo stuff? Like, who are some of your favorite artists?
I listen to so much different stuff. So, I even listen to like I love Neil Young and a lot of that kind of thing too. So a lot of acoustic guitar playing and things like singer-songwriter Tom Petty, and I love all that. I love a lot of funk music growing up too. I listened to like a lot of stuff like that. I listened to jazz. I listened to metal, rock. So it's vast, you know what I mean? It's like I can't say like my stuff is like sounds like this or that, but it's also the 90s music really influenced me too, like Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, I love them. So
we talked about the hardcore stuff too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it was just like I don't know, it's like this melting pot. That whole time was just amazing. When I look back at it, I'm like, wow, what a great time in music that was. So my influences are all over the place. I can't really say I have one person that obviously like I really, who's like an influence as far as just somebody that just got up off the drums and did things is like Dave Grohl. I mean, like, he plays everything. So it was just like he was definitely one of those guys where I guess it was like, oh wow, that dude's a shredding drummer, and he also got up and now he fronts a band. Like,
did you see he's putting out a record? Did you see he's putting out a record with Scotty Ian and Charlie Benante?
Oh, did he?
They're going to. I don't think it's out yet, but they announced it. Yeah,
I think I might have saw that. I think I saw that. Yeah, because they were doing a record in his studio, right? Anthrax.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw that. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So I mean, so like I have so many influences, I guess. Zakk's been a really big influence too. Watching him write songs and seeing like what a songwriting machine that guy is.
Yeah.
And his work ethic too. It's like, I don't know. I've had a lot of influences, in different aspects. So I don't know.
Man, you just reminded me too. I was way into Pride and Glory.
Yeah.
The record
Totally.
that
Yeah.
Zach has been.
I
like,
love
he's-
Pride and Glory. I
Oh my
love
God, that record is amazing. The first one is amazing, and then he like the Book of Shadows stuff he did, where he like plays
Amazing.
he's
Amazing.
like such a friggin' legend.
So many different styles is like writing, which is like that's like a huge influence, you know. It's like you write this, you can write this, you can write this. You play guitar, you play piano. You know what I mean? It's like you know, like drumming. It's like, oh well, I only play this. It's like, well, you can play everything. You know, play some jazz, play some funk, play some rock. You know what I mean?
Did you play all the instruments on your record? On your
I did.
Nice.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Like I said, the first Stealing Souls, I played everything, and that's me actually, all the guitars and everything except the solo. Obviously, that you can hear that's not me. That's Dario shredding away. But on the Hell in the Hallway now and all this stuff, this is Blake.
Okay.
Yeah. But I wrote all the, you know, I wrote everything down here,
Right.
and then he'll just he replays what he's gonna play.
That's
But it's just
beautiful.
like, you know, like again, you don't have to be like some shredding player to write a song, right? We all know that. You know, you can just, I mean, you don't, you know.
That was the beauty of the 90s, I think, right? It was like the bar for rock music was like Van Halen before that. And then, you know, and then Nirvana came along and was like, wait, you don't have to be Van Halen to write a great song, though.
No.
You can just dress in flannel and boots and shit. And
yeah.
I don't think. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no. I always talk about, like, I wonder if there'll ever be another time where like a genre like that will come out and just decimate another genre.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because now everybody came back and it's fine.
Sure.
But you guys remember, like,
Oh yeah.
there was like 10 years of like those bands were done.
Guitar solos were uncool
I know.
for a very long time. I remember it well.
Yeah.
Dimebag kind of blew that out. The thing is, though, the metal side of it, I was thinking about this the other day because
it was still going.
it was always there. Like you were
Totally.
talking about, metal will never die. Like the big selling point of Pantera during that era was they were just waving that flag, like fuck you, like the trend is dead. We're still doing it. We're heavy and hard and with solos and
Yeah, it was like the those fans never. Metal fans they don't fluctuate, man.
yeah.
Well, it's like there was that show that Sam Dunn did about, it was metal, a headbanger's journey. And there was that scene in there with Rob Zombie, and Rob Zombie says, you know, metal people are very passionate people. They're not very passive. You never met the guy that said, remember that one summer I was into that Slayer album, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I always know the guy that's got Slayer carved across his chest, and that's metal people, you know? And
they're like they're lifers.
Yeah.
You know?
It's an island of misfit toys, and we're all dedicated to it.
Without a doubt, dude. Without a doubt. Yeah, Metallica too. They kept going through all that. And Rob Zombie was another cool band that we got to tour with a bunch too. Nice. That was awesome back in the day. Yeah, that was great.
So over the years, you know, you've got to see this evolution of music and how you get to present your music. What do you find like some of the pitfalls and some of the benefits to the way we've actually changed? You know, like it used to be you bought CDs and tapes and records and shit, and now you don't do that.
Yeah.
What are some of the other things that you find to be a benefit to you as an artist?
Well, I think it's easy now to put out your own stuff, you know, because you can just use like TuneCore or DistroKid, and that they'll put everything out on the platforms for you. With that being said, there's also like 100,000 uploads a day of new songs. So, you know, when we were growing up, I'd wait on lines for records, and now people are like, you know, like just flipping through stuff, and like, so I think it's easier now to put your stuff out, but I don't know. Maybe it's like there's always two sides to everything, right? So it's like, you know, now I think it's a great time because you can just put your stuff out there, right? And you do have the power in your own hands to like make it happen, you know, like you don't really have to wait for anybody, which is really cool. You don't have to wait to get signed. You don't have to wait for this. You can just like even if it's only going out to a few people, you're still doing it on your own. So that's awesome. But I just wonder, like, does it get lost in the mix kind of, because there's so much.
It's like a fire hose.
Yeah. I'm not saying that that's the case, but that would be like my question sometimes.
Yeah.
But I know that people really, and that's for streaming stuff, but I know like people still love to have like physical copies. They like that,
Yeah.
I like it too.
I do too.
Yeah, they want the vinyl. They want they want that. So
Vinyl sales surpassed CDs recently, if I'm not
it's crazy, man.
incorrect about that. Yeah.
I know. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
The other cool thing I think, as far as me, I mean, being a fan too, is I feel like I can see you guys are more down to earth and you're more reachable. You know what I mean? It's like I can see you're human and you're not like, I used to like think all those people sat up on this giant pedestal and they looked up at them and stuff. And it seems so unreachable. And now with technology, it seems like I could probably within a couple of clicks find a link to reach out and say, hey, Jeff, my name's Eric. I just wanted to say hi.
Right. And that's the things that are so great about it all.
Yeah.
Right. Because you can do all these things. You can go watch your favorite guitar player on YouTube, or you can go learn that guitar solo without like listening and which was a whole other kind of art form, right? But like, because you had to actually listen, and you couldn't just go, okay, that's what he's playing. But it's a great time. I mean, for that, it is a great time. I definitely think everything is just evolving, right? And I think it'll all probably work itself out at some point.
Yeah. What you just said too, Eric, is kind of the big sea change that happened in the grunge era, where it was like rock stars were these untouchable like stars, and then it became like no, they were just guys in a garage. So now the nostalgia of the 80s, I think, has kind of like, because of we're our age and like younger people. I talked to this young band the other day, the Requiem, who were like way into like 80s music, like 80s metal and stuff, like glam metal, like Def Leppard and stuff like that. And I just thought that was so cool, because it's like now that kind of like the view that the grunge era kind of cast on that era is gone, and it's all kind of melded together. Everyone can look back at it and go, this is awesome music.
Timeless.
No matter,
timeless songs, dude. Right? I mean, it doesn't even matter the genre. If it's a good song, it's a good song.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good songs then. I mean, there really were.
Yeah, it was that time too, like the golden age of like record making. I talked to this German band the other day who, it was so cool to hear they're a metalcore band, but they're like, we made a record from start to finish. Like, we're the kind of people who sit down and listen to a whole record,
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. I don't think many people do that anymore. So that's good to hear. That's good to hear.
But a lot of the younger generation, through our influence now, I think, feels that. I look at like my son's generation, like they all love like a lot of the bands we talked about in the hardcore scene, or even like bands like Lamb of God and Tool, who are doing these like, really detailed, intricate songs. It's not just the like 3-minute trap beat or whatever,
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's cool. And like I said, I mean, I think everything will just kind of work itself out probably with all this. We're just in the middle of this cyberstorm.
Yeah, it's a transitional period.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, I remember like watching MTV, and like for me, like one of my most memorable moments as a kid was, it's going to totally date myself, is watching Def Leppard on American Bandstand, and seeing them on American Bandstand and going, holy shit, I want to be those guys. These guys they're badass. And now you don't have to do that. You just go on YouTube and find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is right there.
Yeah.
I just
for me, it was like I'd have to wait till MTV like Headbangers Ball was on. And then you'd have to wait through the stuff you didn't want to watch, and you know what I mean? It was just like you had no choice,
I just followed Ricky Rackman on TikTok.
Do you follow him?
I just found him the other day. I went,
wow,
awesome.
Ricky's yeah, I've seen him a few times at festivals and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that guy was the voice. I saw this clip of him at a party with Pantera on TikTok, dude. I just like, oh, those are the golden days. Like Ricky Reckman's there for the Pantera premiere or the Motley Crue premiere, the Rob Zombie,
Crazy.
whatever. It's like
I
The
know,
poor
man.
bastard, he got picked on pretty hard too, especially by
He did.
certain people.
nah, he was. I loved Ricky Reckman in all his glory, even when he went alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, he was the guy, right? I mean, he was. Who was the news guy that was always on?
Kurt Loder.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was
Well, there
great.
was it Adam Curry too, the dude that
Adam
looked
Curry.
like John Bon Jovi.
Adam Curry.
Yeah,
yeah.
So cool, man.
Yeah.
What a great time.
Yeah.
We didn't
Yeah,
even
that's-
have cable in our house. I remember that. I used to have to watch it at my friend's house, and I would just sit in front of his television. He'd be like, "Come on, let's go play" or something. I was like, "Nah, I'll just sit here."
We go to our
Friday night
grandma's.
fights and all that, the Friday night video fights and all that shit. And
Yeah. Good times, man.
So
I
you're-
saw the video for Hot for Teacher recently, and I went like, "Wow, that's like pretty out there, even by today's standards."
Yeah.
My parents were always like, "No, you can't watch MTV because they show stuff like that."
My mom, my mom was always cool with everything. The only time she was ever like, "Huh," like is when I had, I think I brought Number of the Beast, Iron Maiden, and she kind of looked at the cover and was like, I was like, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
I just saw this interview with Tom Araya that I thought was so great because they were asking him like, why did Slayer get into the Satan stuff? And he's like, because in our time, we were against all those glamorous guys, all the pretty guys that were wearing makeup and stuff. So we were like, fuck you, Satan. Like we
Right.
did it to fuck with people. Like we didn't want to be lumped in with those guys.
Yeah.
Right. We were gonna slay him.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, and you know, there you go, right? So there, it's like a lot of it was all, you know, but as a kid, you see that merch, you know, you see Eddie, you see all this merch, and you're just like, yeah, I want to buy that.
Yeah, it looked the evil stuff. It's horror movies. Maiden stuff is so deep. Like it's all based on like literature and stuff. Like once you start reading into it, you're like, wow, these guys are
Totally.
on a different
The
level.
funny thing you mentioned Iron Maiden merch is I bought Iron Maiden merch long before I ever listened to Iron Maiden. You know what I mean? It was like it was just the cool thing to have that badass Eddie on there in Iron Maiden. But I had never really listened to the music until Power Slave came out.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Number of the Beast was the first stuff I heard.
Really?
That's,
Okay.
Yeah.
that's probably my favorite Maiden record.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because of
that was
how
some great
good I
stuff,
knew.
man. Ripping.
Yeah, man. So what does the future hold for you? You've got this record coming out. And are you touring this year? What are you doing as far as the solo stuff goes?
My solo stuff, I might play some shows this summer. I'm thinking about. I was
Cool.
kind of just waiting to see like how everything is going to go, but yeah, I think I might do that. And then I'm going to put this record out. There's another record. So the first record I did is called Stealing Souls. This one I don't even have a name for it yet, but it's gonna probably be out sometime in the summer. And then after that, I guess, you know, the Berserker Fest. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that's going to be in September. So Black Label will be playing that. And then I think we'll be the Black Label will be starting to start up again and things like that. So I'm trying to get as much as I can do done of my own stuff now while I have the time off. Excuse me.
So I wanted to ask you about the song Hell in the Hallway.
Yeah.
What is the inspiration to that? Is there a meaning? Like for me, when I think Hell in the Hallway, I think of me living with somebody that I can't stand to live with, and me walking down the hallway and interacting with them as we walk by, and that's Hell in the Hallway.
Good. I'm glad you. That's fine. That's a fine interpretation. Well, first of all, it's cool when people can interpret whatever they want.
Yeah.
Right. So that's great. But like what I was talking about was those times in your life when you're in between things, right? Like maybe a job, okay,
Yeah.
and you're having some struggles. You know what I mean? So you had a door, your one door just closed,
Okay.
right? Now you're looking for that other opening, right? And sometimes it can be hell in the hallway.
All right.
Until that next opportunity presents itself.
Yeah.
So that's the hell in the hallway I'm talking about.
Okay. All
Yes.
That transitional uncertainty.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why you just got to sometimes you just got to wait it out. I mean, I'm sure everyone can relate to that. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
in music, especially if you're trying to make it in music or you're trying to make it as a musician, or there's so many times you're going like, oh my god, like what am I doing? Or should I even keep going with this? You know? And you have to, because if you don't, well, you don't have to, but like if you don't, you never know. You'll never know if that next opportunity presents itself or not.
And you're just gonna sit in the hallway.
And then you're just gonna rot to death in the hallway.
Yeah.
I talked to the guy from the bass player from the band Job for a Cowboy, and he was in a bunch of other bands like Cephalic Carnage. And he was saying, he's like, as a musician these days, it's almost like you have to have multiple projects going to keep alive, you know?
Yeah, especially lots of touring too, you know?
Yeah, I respect that hustle.
Yeah, you got to do it. You got to do it. I love it all, so I don't, to me, it's like, I like touring. I love being home too and writing, you know? But I like being out and playing for the people.
Yeah.
It's all about that for me.
If COVID taught us anything, it's that human interaction is underrated.
It's very important, man.
Yeah.
It's very important. Especially when you like grew up like we did without phones, and now you see people that do grow up with phones, you know? I mean, like the communication is like different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I see a backlash to it with my son's generation. He's 17 and they're a lot more about like, I'm not going to be on Instagram and Facebook. I'm going to go, you know, do things. I mean, they're still very online. Don't get me wrong, but I definitely see a little bit of a rebellion against it to some extent.
Well, you would think, right? Because they're probably just burnt on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Like when I log into Facebook now, it's all my friends and people my age on there.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, those kids aren't on Facebook.
No. Well, Jeff, we've been on for 40 minutes now.
Have we really?
Yeah.
Oh man, all right.
What else do we need to talk about?
Well, if you want to listen to any of my stuff, like Stealing Souls, the first record's on all the platforms. You know, it's on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Music, and then all these singles too will be on the same YouTube too. All these singles will be on all the those same platforms, and I'm going to release a single every 4 weeks until I put this record out. And the record should be out probably the summertime, I think. I'm going to put it out before I leave, before we start up again, because I know we'll be busy for a while. So
Raquel did send me a snippet of the new single too, See No Evil.
Cool.
And it sounds great.
Awesome, dude.
She's nudging me in the comments too.
Is she?
Oh yeah,
hey. She's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, she does good work.
Yeah. So we got that's the next one coming out. See No Evil.
March 8th.
Yes. And then we got another one coming out 4 weeks from that, and then another one after that for 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's how you do it now, right? Build up to the album release.
Yeah. I mean, like I've never done it this way. This is the first time. The first record I did, the Stealing Souls, I just put the whole thing out, and then I was thinking like, well, why not just kind of do it this way, and then just kind of give some people something to listen to. You know, it seems like everybody's attention span is a little different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the culture is not album based anymore, so it's a smart way to do it.
But like you said before, who knows? That might change too, right? Like kids are listening to full records, so maybe this will all just kind of. Right now, we're in this storm.
Yeah, it's a way to. The thing with the algorithm and all that stuff too is like the way that you keep visible in the algorithm is by constantly feeding it. So it's smarter to kind of like slowly drip out your album. And then people can listen to it as a full piece once it's all out, you know?
Yeah, because it's definitely not going to be like I wouldn't release every song and then release a record of the same song. So I figured, all right, I'll do like 4 or 5 songs and then put the whole record out, you know?
Yeah. It's like a build-up process.
Yeah, totally.
No, I love it.
Yeah, for me, it's when we were talking about how the things are changing and stuff like that, and how the younger generation is kind of reverting back to us a little bit. Like my daughter loves vinyl. And so I've gone on this spree lately where I've picked my 10 favorite albums, and then I'm slowly buying her each one of those on vinyl so that she can have them.
That's cool. Turning her onto them.
Yeah.
And then you really realize like how timeless this stuff is, you know?
Yeah.
Because the kids are like, wow, that's cool. I like that, you know?
Which I kind of don't want to throw you on the scene, but what do you have like? Give me 5 or 6 of your favorite albums all the time. I know it's hard, and I just threw
Master of Puppets.
Nice.
Let me see here. I'm trying to think of some good ones, you know. Enema.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Nice.
Harvest Moon, which is Neil
Nice.
Young.
That's a great album.
And I'm trying to think of something else. I'll pick Miles Davis, Kind of Blue.
Nice.
I don't know. I have so many, but I just kind of wanted to throw some different ones out there, because like everything is. For me, it's like just listen to everything, because like then when you go to write, you just get your palette is broad.
Yeah.
You know. But
the best.
I have a lot, you know. I mean, I could now go back and go, well, I got this Van Halen album, and then you know what I mean. Right. So it could never end. So that was just like some.
What's your favorite Van Halen album?
Well, for me, the first one I heard was Diver Down.
Yeah.
Okay, because we had it on vinyl in my house, and I remember like looking at the back cover, and that was when they were on tour with the Stones, right? So like they were playing those massive stadiums, you know, and I just remember looking at the record when I listened to the record, and I just be like, wow, I want to do this, you know? But I guess the first one.
Yeah, first one. Yeah.
That probably would be my favorite. They were just blazing on that.
Yeah.
Alex, man, he was.
Yeah, Alex is a great drummer, man.
Great swinging.
Yeah.
Swinging, man.
I saw this TikTok thing. I think it's the song Hot for Teacher, but they were showing how like during the guitar solo, what Alex does is like so like wildly innovative for that time. Like he totally does this completely different beat. Like this, it blew me away. Like I've never been a huge Van Halen fan, but I really think I need to go back and listen to a lot of that.
He was shredding on that stuff. I mean, and like swinging too, you know what I mean? So like everything was just like you know,
yeah,
just killing, man, killing. And his drum solos too were like killing. He was always doing some sort of like Latin-y kind of funky thing, and his drum sound. How crazy is that too? Like I could hear his cymbal wash and be like, oh, that's Alex Van Halen. You know what I mean? Like it was right.
Underrated.
Yeah. That's a whole nother thing to talk about too, is like the tone, like everybody's sat, like not even the songs, but like the sounds.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they were like back then it was more like it was different. Everybody had a little more of like an identity or something.
Eddie was like a craftsman. Like he like built his own amps. And
I mean, he created his sound, you know. I mean, it was just like, he was like soldering shit together and making, you know.
That's a level of like knowledge of your craft that not a lot of people have today, I don't think.
No. Well, because you just go to the plugin.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So you want to hear I listened to Ted Templeman's book, his autobiography.
Yeah.
And I know him because back in the record days, what's the first thing you do? You look at your record and you produced by Ted Templeman, Van Halen, every album, Van Halen, Ted Templeman. And so I was listening to it, and he was talking about that album 1984, and he was talking about the song Hot for Teacher. And he said I've told Dustin this, but it was so amazing because he was talking about the introduction to that song with the drums.
Oh yeah.
And if you listen to it, he says the very, very first part of that is not drums. It's Eddie Van Halen had a Lamborghini, and he loved to rev that thing up really loud. And then when he would let off the gas, it would go, you know how they do that? The cars just, he said, if you listen to it, you can hear that it's actually the exhaust in that at the very, very beginning, and you can hear when it transitions into drums.
Really?
Yeah,
that's insane.
Listen to that song. You'll have to listen to it again because you hear the, and then all of a sudden you'll hear the, and you'll hear the transition.
Cool. Hey, I gotta add one more record into that. Now that I'm thinking about it, Blizzard of Oz.
Yeah.
Randy Rhoads, come on.
Yeah.
That was definitely a huge influence on me. These are like the records. I actually did this thing, an interview before, and they asked me about like, what were your favorite albums? And I picked all the stuff I grew up in my house. And that was definitely, my sister had these albums. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, that was definitely one of them too. And plus that album cover was like,
Yeah.
whoa. Ozzy laying there with the cross on the floor.
Yeah.
See, for Dustin and I, it's harder because we were both the oldest child, you know,
Yeah.
so like he had his younger kids, his younger siblings, I had my younger siblings. So I had to lay the groundwork for all that shit.
Yeah.
So Dustin.
My dad was a metalhead though. Like I'll never forget the day I pulled the vinyl of Holy Diver out
Nice.
and saw that cover, and that was the day that I became a metalhead.
Exactly, right? How many? It's just like the artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was
how
like, I
important
have
was
to
that?
listen to this, and then the music was
Totally,
incredible
man.
as well.
Totally. Yeah, Back in Black. We had that in there.
Back in Black. Wow, that is a great record.
Great record, man. Talk about. I mean,
And I'm not a big AC/DC fan, but that is a fucking classic album.
Yeah, it is.
sounds great. Unbelievable production on that.
I really dug Who Made Who actually too as well. But
Yeah, I love all the stuff with Bon a lot too.
Yeah, so do I.
yeah,
I do too.
yeah. That's some great stuff, man. So many great albums back in the day.
Yeah.
yeah, we could talk about this for hours.
Yeah, we can keep going. My brain's going now. But, wait, hold on. Let me add one more record to that.
The first, like you solidified it though for me when you called out Master of Puppets first, because that's in my top 3 easily, if not my number 1.
Yeah, without a doubt. That was definitely one of mine as well.
Then see, I'm more of a glam guy. I love the glam stuff. So
Yeah, I love it too, man. Like I said, I grew up on Motley Crue, so I loved all that as well, you know.
It's funny, we have common, like we have all 3 eras of metal here. We have Eric's kind of the 80s, I'm the 90s, and then we have another guy who grew up in the 2000s who's into like Static X and Disturbed and all that kind of stuff.
Cool. Yeah. Static is cool, man. I
like
actually I tried out for Static X a long I was really, that was right when I just moved to LA, so it was probably in like 98ish or something like that.
Yeah, they were the big thing for a while.
They were massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was I'm friends with Ulrich Wylde, and he was the he did that record. You know Ulrich, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah, he's on a lot. His name's on a ton of records I listen to.
Yeah. So I ended up moving to Silver Lake, and he lived in Silver Lake, and we ended up like meeting. I worked at this little cafe called Millie's.
I know.
I actually I don't the Circle Jerks. You guys know the any?
Oh
of
yeah.
Yeah. So Keith worked there. I remember like going there, and I was like working there. And I'm like, how they look at all these these fucking rock stars work here.
Are you based in LA?
No, I'm back in New York now.
Oh, okay.
But I lived in LA for years.
Yeah, what with Silver Lake, it's funny, I was telling someone this the other day. LA is like it's a cool city because it has so many different subcultures.
Yeah.
And like Silver Lake is like the indie punk side of town for sure.
Yeah, and it was cool because I didn't even know where I was moving to when I moved there. Because my sister lived in LA and I visited her, right? But she lived in Venice. So I was like, oh, I'll just
side of town.
Yeah, so she lived in Venice, and then I ended up finding a place in Silver Lake. So we were like, I didn't even have a car. Like I had no car, dude.
Yeah.
And I didn't even
That's
have
not a bike
drums.
ride.
I didn't even have drums when I first moved there.
Oh my god.
I had one snare drum, on my kick pedal, and then a hi-hat, I think. And then I'd go to these auditions for Music Connections, like in the beginning, and I would set up my kick pedal against my snare drum case. And no, for real. And then I would do, and people were like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'd be like, "Don't worry, my drums are coming."
Can I borrow your kick?
Yeah, seriously. But I mean, yeah, I was fortunate. A lot of people that I met through the years there were so cool, and they'd pick me up. They'd like pick me up with my drums and bring me to their rehearsal, and it was crazy, man.
Yeah, that's how it was. The Recycler Music Connection era.
So cool. Yeah, and Spaceland was right down the street for me, so I'd go down there and see a bunch of cool bands all the time.
Sadly closed recently.
Did it close?
Yeah, I think during COVID.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live right down the street from there.
Oh man. Silver Lake's such an interesting place. It feels like it's like all these different things colliding. It's like such a messy.
It is.
I love it though.
Yeah, it's so much different now when I go through there though. It's like sunset through there. It was like kind of gritty and dungy when I and dirty when I lived there, and now it's like you drive through and it's just like Melrose. You know what I mean? Like
it's like what happened to Brooklyn. It's hipsterized.
Totally, but it's still it was such a cool time. It really was.
Yeah,
awesome.
Man, that's very cool too. That's inspirational for people, you know, to hear that. Like, I mean, you're the drummer of Black Label Society. You played with Filter, like you played with all these huge bands, and you started out banging on your drum case.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, if you really just put your mind to it, like you can make anything happen. You know?
Yeah.
We got a guy in the comments, by the way, Jeff. His handle is Old Gretchter. He says, "Don't know if Jeff sees this, but tell him I'm on it. I was his drum teacher."
Yeah, his name is Mark LaRosa.
Nice.
Mark LaRosa. Okay.
Yep,
Yeah,
his name's Mark LaRosa. He's still like my teacher. You know, I still go to him for many things, but he was great because he's a guitar player, right? And he would bring his guitar and his amp and jam with me. Like that would be our lesson. And because like he could write things out for me, but I wanted to jam with him, you know, because I had never played with anybody before. So he was like, that was so influential to me because like he was just like, it taught me so much, you know.
Man, I've played with drummers that don't have rhythm. So like that's probably the best. If you want to play in a band, that's the best way to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is because you're listening and you're listening to what the other guys are doing and you're having like this conversation. You know, you're not just like
grooving.
Yes, grooving, man. And he was like, he started me out with all that, and he's like the local rock star for us. You know what I mean? He'd show up, he had long hair, and we're all like, whoa, you know, this guy's cool, man. Bringing his guitar slinged over his shoulder, his amp, man.
That's awesome.
Cool.
That's cool.
Thanks for jumping in the comments, Mark. We appreciate you.
Mark LaRosa.
Man, we've been on for an hour.
Yeah.
Right.
So I love it. I love thank you for being able to speak freely and just like have these conversations, Jeff.
Dude, I would love to do it anytime. We'll do it again sometime.
Please do. Please come back through.
We have a lot of records we got to pick. I mean, we'll pick some other ones next time.
Oh, yeah. We should even just do a stream where we just talk about classic records. Each of us pick our like top 5 and you can jump on and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Top 10
that would
or
be
something.
Cool.
Yeah, those conversations always do really well. We did one about bands that continued on without their original singer that were even more successful.
Awesome.
And just that little segment, like people, it's an interesting conversation. So people react positively to it, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Plus, it's interesting to think about like the bands you really don't think about. Like, it wasn't until I really started thinking about it, I'm like, Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
You know,
someone in the comments, Eric, we didn't even talk about Faith No More.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. We could go on and on.
Yeah.
Faith No
We'll
More
be
is
here
great,
all
man.
day.
Yeah.
Amazing.
If we get us going.
We'll do it again.
We will.
Man. No, it shows the love that we have for music, that you have for music, it's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you for taking
Jeff.
the time. Everyone, check out Jeff's solo stuff, man. Hell in the Hallway is the most recent single, right?
Yes.
But you got another one dropping on March 8th. See No Evil.
Yep.
He's got a full album already out. Go listen to that stuff. Tons more stuff to come.
Yes.
And kept him on
I got
board.
all my social media. Just go into is Jeff Fabb, so it'll bring you right to it. And I'm always posting stuff on there and what's coming up and some other silly shit.
And I'm sure he'll be out in the streets later this year with BLS.
Yes, that'll be coming soon too. Yep, and some new music from BLS as well.
Nice,
man. Let us know if you're going to do some live stuff to promote your solo work too, man. We'll definitely. I'd love to see you play live or
definitely. I definitely will let you know.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then maybe I can come on and we can share that before that even happens.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be amazing.
Awesome. We'll do that for sure.
Jeff, it's been awesome, man. Thank you again so much for taking the time.
Jeff.
Thank you for having me. We'll do it again, fellas. It was awesome.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, guys.
Later.
Take care. Everyone check out Jeff. We'll see you next time.
Thanks again.